Hey, what's going on, everybody? It's your homeboy E Short in his man room, as usual, hanging out doing the E&L Sports Talk Show with my homeboy Les Miller. What's up, Les?
Yo, E, how you doing, man? What's going on, baby?
I'm good, man. I'm good. We talked earlier, what's going on. We got a really good guest here, man. A brother that came up, through the high school ranks behind us, but really represented the true flavor of Brooklyn and the people that taught us all how to play in Brooklyn, all the way to the league. And he represented it properly. And we really needed to get him on the show. So without further ado, everybody, here's Jerry Ice Reynolds. What's going on?
Right.
Not a whole lot, man. Just living life, man. Getting used to this retired living, man.
I
Yeah.
hear you. It should be enjoyable, man. Why don't you tell the public a little bit about Jerry Ice Reynolds?
Well, I'm born and raised in Brooklyn, as you stated. Born in Bushwick, Madison, between Broadway and Bushwick. Born there, lived there for the first 10 years of my life. Um, didn't get into basketball too much during those first 10 years. I was mostly baseball. Baseball was my first love in sports. Um, and played all the sports that you play on the block. Remember that? You play stickball on the block. You played two-hand touch on the block. You played strikeout on the block. All of these games. They nailed a milk crate to the tree on the block and
Mm-hmm.
basketball court. Because at that age, pre 10 years old, you wasn't leaving the block. That was the street lights era. Life.
Yeah.
You play outside all day till the street lights come on.
That's
So
right.
born there, and then from there I moved to South Brooklyn, um, which is kind of where the basketball kind of starts at. When I started to switch over, when I was about 11, 12, I switched over and started playing basketball, and that's when baseball became boring to me.
Right.
Playing basketball, baseball boring. So when I was moved into South Brooklyn, up on Third Avenue and Bergen Street, is where I meet Beetle Washington at Nathan Hale Junior High School, which was right across the street from Gowanus. So I had to walk through Wyckoff projects. I had to walk through Gowanus projects to get to Nathan Hale Junior High School.
Right.
And so that's where Beetle and I made contact. And then I started playing with Beetle at St. John's. And that's when Lester and Lloyd McCrory and that whole relationship with Brooklyn, USA got started when I was about 12 years old. And then fast forward, so I lived there from 10 to 14. And then I moved from South Brooklyn, I moved to Brownsville.
Okay.
And that's where my game kind of developed more alongside Brooklyn, USA, and then living in Brownsville and playing ball in Brownsville, watching the likes of Fly Williams and World Beat Free hoop in the hole, which was right in front of my building. So I really think that God put me in that process, that whole process of basketball. But when I got to Brownsville and the basketball court was right in front of my building, I could look out my window and see the hole from my fourth floor apartment in Van Dyke Projects in Brownsville. So I look at it as God like guiding my life and my journey, and noticing that He made me skinny. And then at Brownsville, they accepted me, but they made it tough on me. You know what I mean? I had to get used to the older guys fouling hard and telling you to go get your father if you know you want to.
Yeah, yeah.
And you know, you just having to, I just had to deal with that, and it made me tough. You know, that those were the years that I became skilled and tough at the same time.
Right.
So that's my journey of you know, coming up through Brooklyn and basketball. So yeah,
And it's
it was
funny. It's funny thing that you're saying that because, um, you know, the steps that you took all the way through the process, and what you learned through those steps was the process, and it wasn't just the Lord doing that for basketball, but it was also you generating the friendships that you had, you know, that you gained, and the leadership qualities. All those things were happening on those steps, going through. And it's funny because you went through, believe it or not, in the Gowanus area, you know, guys that were ahead of you, you know, the Phil Seymours, the Ray James, and
back.
as well as, you know, Beadle and Richie Gordon, and then going up to, you know, St. John's. Those steps, you know, honestly, were so instrumental for the end result of everything. But you needed it, and the Lord put you in that position to make all of those steps, and um, culminating in who you became, you know, and who you are now. You know, and how did you, you know, how did you work through all of that and stay steady to accomplish up to that level?
Well, before I answer that question, I'm glad that you mentioned those older guys from the Gowanus and Wyckoff area. That before I got to Brooklyn, USA, in Brownsville, I was watching Raymond James and Richie Gordon make All City and all of that stuff right before my time was coming. But didn't know it at the time. I just knew those guys were really good ball players, you know, and I saw them play out in the parks, out in Gowanus and Wyckoff and all of that stuff. And then, you know, they happened to be Brooklyn, USA guys as well.
Right. Isn't that something? That's right.
Right, right.
So you know, it came full circle when I would see those guys at St. John's and be like, you know, they would have practice after us because we were the little guys, and then the older guys would have practice after us. So, you know, I'd stick around and watch those guys hoop. But yeah, that process, man, was wonderful because you know, I had my mom who was a great mother, and she raised me right, man. So that process was easy to get on board, get in line with, so to speak, and become a good listener. Because really, you know, looking back at my journey, it was really all about being able to listen and apply what you listen to. You know, being able to listen and apply it after listening to it. So, you know, that became a large part
Mm,
of my process.
right. And who were the people that you were listening to? I mean, was it just, you know, was it your peers, who were the coaches and the people that inspired you from, you know, in that process?
Well, initially, it was Lloyd McCrory who who got me early. He got me when Beetle took me to St. John's um, and said that, you know, well, quick Beetle story first. So I was envious of Beetle. So me and Beetle became friends in the sixth
Mm.
grade. So I had to walk through Gowanus to go home after school. So one day, me and Beetle leaving school, and he goes to me, "Yo, Ice, come up." Jerry at that time, "Yo, come up to my house, you know, and for something, whatever." So okay, I go to his apartment in Gowanus, and this 12-year-old, 11-year-old kid had a living room full of trophies, and I didn't have any trophies.
Mm.
And I was
Mm.
yo,
Yeah,
I was like, yo, Beetle, where you get those trophies from, man? Like how you get where that come from? And
right.
he had been playing ball for a while. You understand what I'm saying? and I wasn't on the team yet, so I was just raw playing in the parks and playing at lunchtime with him. That's how Beetle could play. And once I saw those trophies, I was like, in my head, I didn't tell him, but I was like, yo, I did say to him, like, where did you get those and how did you get those? He was like, yo, I played for this team and, we win. And that's how we got these, that's how I got these trophies. We win a lot.
We
and
win.
So I wanted to be a part of it.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Because I wanted some trophies. I wanted some shine for my living room. You know what I'm saying? I thought that was the best thing, the coolest thing ever, to have a whole bunch of trophies. And so really that was my motivation early. Beetle, I was envious of that dude because he had a bunch of trophies and I didn't.
Right.
I had to get my shine up, so to speak,
Yeah, but it was motivation as well, So, but in order to
Absolutely.
be motivated, you had to make a decision to know where to go so that you could emulate that and have your own shine. And you went with the best environment that was going on in Brooklyn, which was Brooklyn, USA. And what was that experience like playing under that organization?
Well, like I was saying with Lloyd McCrory was like I put him in the category with the Dog Whisperer. Remember that show, The Dog Whisperer, with this guy would get these bad dogs and before he left them, they were good dogs. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Blow my mind. And I equate Lloyd McCrory, Coach McCrory, to the Dog Whisperer. Like he took raw ball players at 11, 10, 11, 12 years old and helped them develop into organized ball players, because really that's what I was when I went to Brooklyn, USA. I was just a street kid that played in the park. That's all I until I went to St. John's, and Lloyd was just the perfect. He was the perfect teacher for me in my process, because he was such a cool, calm, collected person. He wasn't a yeller. He wasn't a screamer. He wasn't a Gil Reynolds. He was the opposite of Gil Reynolds.
Right.
Found that out later once I moved to Brownsville, and now I was in the Brownsville Jets area. Once I moved to Brownsville, I'm 14, and all my friends in Brownsville played with Gil Reynolds at Brownsville Jets at BRC. And so I go down there and watch them practice one time, and I saw Gil throw the ball at a kid and grab him by the shirt one time. I was like, nah, I'm good on Gil. I'm going back to Brooklyn, USA with Coach Lloyd. And the rest is pretty much history, man. And then they passed the torch, once, because Lloyd had the young kids, and then the juniors and seniors were with Lester. And so I was just in that whole environment, man, from a young age. And I look at it today, looking back, and I say, and I've been saying this for years, that I learned more about basketball from the ages of 12 until I graduated high school at Brooklyn, USA. So that's like 6 years. That was the most I've learned in basketball throughout, and that's including the NBA.
Right.
Oh.
And yeah, because that is funny, because you mentioned, like, two different types of coaches that have a different concept of how to get the information out of athletes, but nonetheless you found the best environment for you that worked for you, and you took it and ran with it. But it's funny because there were a lot of players that were getting information, really the same info, but the approach was different.
Yeah,
But
exactly.
what it turned you into, and what you're saying is that the information was so powerful coming out of Brooklyn that you really could have went anywhere, but it's just upon what works for you as an individual, you know.
Exactly.
And
Yeah.
yeah, and that mentioned about moving out to the Brownsville area. and playing in that environment, what was the contrast that, let's say if you were in the BRC playing in a tournament versus playing in St. John's and other places, was there a contrast, or was it basically what I'm thinking is that we all learned the same thing and we all got benefited from the information we were getting?
Yeah, it was definitely different playing in the BRC and playing St. John's. It was all tough back then. Basketball, it was tough. It was no blood, no foul type of era. That was that era.
Yep. Yep.
And you ain't draw no blood, it wasn't no foul.
Mm-hmm.
So it was pretty much similar. Like I said, it was just the teachers were different.
Right.
Gil, who I respect and love, just the way that he approached the game and how he taught the game wasn't for me. And so
Right.
once I started it over there, where I was comfortable with the way that Lloyd taught me the game,
Right.
and from a young age, man, it was just like it was weird because when I got to college, I was advanced. The stuff they took that my coach taught me, Dale Brown taught me when I got to LSU, I had already learned that stuff when I was 12 and 13 years old.
Right.
How to box out, how to cut the baseline off, how to talk on defense. Just so much. You know what I mean? So I never stopped praising Coach McCrory and the Brooklyn USA coaches for the job that they did, not only with me, but with a host of other people as
Yeah.
well.
Yeah, because and it sounds to me, which and I know as well and Les knows, that it was all about preparation for that next level, so that when you get to the next level, that you're prepared. And they always had that in mind for all of us. Is that and that's why Lester Roberts was focal point of taking us around the country as well and playing. And what was those experiences like for you, a kid from Brooklyn, growing up, and I know you went to Arizona a couple of times, right?
Absolutely, but I didn't
Yeah.
go with USA. I went to Arizona with Riverside Church and Ernie Lorch. But
Oh, so you went. Oh, okay.
way it was when I was coming up. So Brooklyn USA didn't have the money, the resources to travel to places like Arizona and taking those expensive trips, because I'm sure they were expensive trips.
Right.
Brooklyn USA, the farthest trips that we went on were like bus trips to Baltimore or Mount Vernon, upstate or something
Right.
like that.
Right.
So
Right.
when you play with the church, was Lester Roberts coaching with them as well?
No, he wasn't at all. I went with the Gauchos. I went to, those used to be the trip when the Gauchos would call you and say, you want to come and join us on this or that. And I'd be like, hell yeah, I want to go. You know
Hell
what I mean?
yeah. Right. Right.
We went to Arizona. Chris Mullen was on our team when we went to Arizona. They used to call Brooklyn to get the dogs
Right.
because they know they needed the dogs from Brooklyn to come and complete those rosters when you're going around the country to play those other top cities around the
And you
country.
and you've won at that level as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we won a lot, man. In those summers, Brooklyn USA was just a winning organization, man.
Right.
And we won, I would say 85, 90% of the time. In those 6 years that I played with Brooklyn USA, we probably won 90% of all of the games that I played in.
Right. And that's attributed to the other skilled players that were on that team, and y'all playing so long together, because there's a core of y'all that played, that went through the same thing together with you. Am I right? Like
Yes, sir.
Beadle and Andre and all of y'all.
Yes, sir. Freddie French and Michael Watler, Lou Hobbs, all of these people that we grew up together through Brooklyn USA. You understand? And what it was more so of not even the skill of shooting, because I can't recall nobody really being a great shooter during those times. How we used to win and beat people was with defense.
Right.
And I think that is what developed my abilities to be to lead every team that I played on in steals throughout my high school, college, and professional career.
Yeah, and that was and that was that Lloyd McCory, Brooklyn, USA defensive scheme. Is that points can be made off of playing D. It was like you guys were, because I used to watch you guys practice and play all the time, and it's like the defense was the core of the team, and
that's our offense. That's how we scored 100 points a game in high school. My senior year, we averaged 100 points for the season, and nobody could shoot. Nobody had.
And it's funny because you guys were taught the art of the double team. As soon as the guy takes his, turns his back on you, it's like an automatic, response, like a dog whistle for you guys. And you guys did it like at the highest level possible. And if you didn't do it, you'd be sitting on the bench,
Because
but it was like, huh?
We practiced it every day. You know what I mean? Hey, it was defense. It was that we had to work on defense every day because that was our bread and butter. That's how we won games.
Yeah.
I can remember when we were youths, 12, 13, teams couldn't get the ball across half court for long periods of time just because the defensive pressure was so much that they couldn't handle it.
Yeah, we can relate, right, Les? Because we played on a team at that same age called Lennox Road Baptist Church. That's what it was like, 120 to 15.
Yeah.
Like all the time, they couldn't get the ball out over half court. But that's because defense was taught at a level that it became offense. And how did that transition for you? When you go to the next level, one thing that's very, very obvious is that the strength level and the size of the athlete is, it's changed because you're dealing with guys that are a couple of years older than you. They're more mature. They've been lifting. What was that transition into that? And because especially because the fact that you mentioned before that you say you were very thin, you were skinny. What was that transition like for you? When you went around, the more physical, stronger players at the next level?
Well, I would have to say that really started in college for me because, I wasn't aware that that there were guys that were lifting weights because in high school we didn't lift weights. That was part of our regimen in high school. We just practiced basketball and conditioning, and that was a large part of what we did as well. We ran a lot, but the physicality I met when I got to college was eye-opening because the way it went was funny. So when I got to LSU, we're playing pickup before with my teammates. We're playing pickup before practice starts. So we're at school, everybody's there. We just playing, and we're playing. And every time I go through the lane, two of the power forwards on our team, upperclassmen, they were like chicken winging me every time I come across the lane. They were hitting me with little bows and stuff, and I'm like, "Yo, dude." I stopped one time and I was like, "Yo, man, y'all gonna stop elbowing me every time I come through the lane." And their response was, "Man, that New York shit don't play down here, man. This is the SEC. This is how it is around here. You need to get used to this. This ain't nothing what we doing to you now.
Right.
Wait till them from Kentucky and the boys from Tennessee and Mississippi State start pounding on you and touching you up like that." So I was like, okay, that's how we gonna play. Now I jump right into my Brownsville mode, which they don't know that I came from this area. See what I'm saying? All they see is a skinny 6'7" kid that, you know, come from New York.
Right.
With all of this finesse shit. And so I said, okay, that's how we're gonna play. Not a problem. We can go that way. So we start playing again. I get a ball. I come through the lane, and both of them chicken wing dudes, 6'7", 6'8", strong, corn-fed boys. I step through, I get a step, and I'm coming through the lane, and both of them converge and try to block mine, which they thought was going to be a layup. But I punched it on them boys so hard.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And it was fans all around the court just watching the hoop. Everybody runs on the court. They like bugging out. They high five and like, oh. and from that day on, I got the respect of my teammates and got a little look at, because they didn't know me from a hole in the wall. They didn't recruit me. LSU didn't recruit me. They were one of the few schools that didn't recruit me. And so I ended up there because Lester Roberts had been living in Baton Rouge, and that's how I ended up at LSU.
Right.
Okay.
Right. Yeah, so that right away that it kicked in, that Brownsville mentality was like, I dealt with this before, and this is what I got to do in order to gain that respect.
This ain't no problem. I could handle a little couple of elbows. I just wanted to let y'all know that I know that y'all hitting me.
Right.
Right.
Well, you know, and that's funny because that relates back to what you said. The Lord put you in certain places, to be successful. You had to go through that Brownsville experience in order to apply it at LSU in that situation. You know what I mean?
Yeah, man, because it was physical, man. Those boys was corn-fed boys, man, and they had been lifting all of this stuff, and I got with the program. I had to get, because in college now we have team lifting. It ain't like you lifting on your own. You have a day where the whole team is in the weight room, and everybody, we got weight coaches there, and they putting you through all of the stuff with the weights thing. But obviously the weights didn't look. It didn't make me look like I was lifting weights, but it did make me strong. I have to admit that I did get a little stronger lifting the weights and stuff like that. So,
without a doubt, a lot of people don't understand that lifting weights is not the end result of lifting weights is not visual. It's physical. You feel it. That's it. It can impact you by how you look, but some people it doesn't. But you still get stronger, and the NBA, which is the sport for tall athletes, it depicts that all the time. You look at athletes that are thin and their strength level is as high as a lot of other people, and it's not the girth that's necessary with basketball, but you can use that. What was your transition to the NBA like, Ice?
It was man, the whole journey just seemed, when I look back at it, man, it just seemed so unusual, but at the same time, for me, it was exactly what God ordered for me. So okay, when I decided to go hardship from LSU, and I was just talking to my friend Big John Williams, who I visited last week in California. He's recovering from a stroke. So when John Williams and I played together at LSU, it was great because, I left one year, then he leaves the next year to go to the NBA. But what I was going to say was that my career at LSU wasn't one that warranted me to go early. I wasn't having that type of success at LSU that somebody would say to me, "Oh, you should leave early," or the NBA is waiting for you, and all of this.
Right.
When I was at LSU, nobody told me that I was in the NBA's bullseye. That they were waiting on me. No, I didn't. That wasn't my journey. My journey was, I had my best year at LSU my sophomore year, before John came. Okay, so my junior year is when John comes, and he's the #1 pick in high school. He was the best player in America the year that he came to LSU. So I'm super excited. And I'm thinking that, okay, now I got a little help and we could go further in the tournament because I had made 2 NCAA tournaments. Matter of fact, we went to the NCAA my freshman year, and then we went again my sophomore year. So we went to 2 tournaments already. And so when John gets there, I'm excited. I got this great player alongside of me. He's from LA. I'm from Brooklyn. You know, we got along great. We never had no issues. That was my man, still my man. So anyway, Dale Brown, the coach, he sees John as his savior, I guess. So he just kind of, by the way, my sophomore year, I led LSU in every category, offensive and defensive. Led in steals, led in rebounds, led in blocks, led in scoring, everything in my sophomore year. And so I was excited about that. Now, if I was going to leave after a year, that would have been the year for me to leave. Mm-hmm. But even at that great a year, I averaged 14 and 8 my sophomore year. Even after that year, nobody was saying you should come out. You're that and blah 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 blah. Okay, so my confidence was great. Go back to LSU my junior year, and the coach changes everything and focuses our whole thing on John Williams, which, okay, it's all good because I know how to get mine.
Right.
But I was kind of upset about the fact that after the season ended, my minutes had went down, my scoring had went down, all of my things had went down. Not because I wasn't a better player than the year before, but because of the way that the coaching was done to our team.
Right.
So after my junior year, my average goes from 14 to 11. And after that year, after my junior year, I go back to LSU, get back to school. We lose to David Robinson and Navy in the NCAA first round. So we get sent home, and I'm pissed because we should have beat David Robinson, even though he got 18 and 18. He had a great game, but his team was suspect.
Right.
You know, he was the only dude on his whole team. But
truth be told, that's right.
Yeah.
That's how good he was. You know what I mean? He took a team where he was the only dude and went to the NCAA and made some noise. So anyway, I get back to LSU after that loss, and I'm pissed, and I'm like, damn, what should I do? Now, this is just me. I wasn't with anybody. I wasn't even with Lester even though Lester lived in Baton Rouge, I was just by myself. I went around to this lake, drove around, and I wanted to ponder what I was going to do. I just want to think about whether I want to leave or I want to come back for my senior year. I want to transfer because I didn't want my senior year to be even lower than my
junior year. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And so I was in a dilemma at that time as a young man. Now, my mother was hard of hearing, so I couldn't call her. My dad, he and I didn't have a relationship, so I didn't call him. So it was basically just me out there in Louisiana by myself making this life-changing decision.
Yeah, right.
That day I came to the conclusion that I'm going to enter my name in the NBA draft. And so, like I said, the process of me getting to the NBA starts at that point that I made that decision sitting at that lake. And so I leave from the lake, I go to Coach Brown's office. Knock on, Coach, could I speak to you? Yeah, Jerry, come on in. And so we talking, and I say to him, I said, you know, Coach, I appreciate everything that you've done for me, giving me an opportunity to get this great education and everything, but I think that my game is more suited for the NBA than it is here at LSU. And you know, this man who coached me for 3 years looked at me in my face and said, Jerry, I don't think that you're ready, son. He said that you're too skinny, you can't shoot, and those guys will eat you and spit you out just as soon as you get there, if you get there.
Wow.
And I said, Coach, you know, that's your opinion. I respect your opinion. But at the end of the day, I'm still going to decide to put my name in that hat and take my chance. But no, Jerry, let me call Marty Blake for you right now. Marty Blake was the head of scouting for the NBA at the time. He said, let me call Marty Blake and he'll tell you what he thinks about you going to the NBA. So he dials up Marty Blake, boom, 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 get Marty Blake on the phone. Hey, Marty, how you doing? This is Dale Brown. I got Jerry Reynolds sitting here with me in my office, and he's thinking about going to the NBA, putting his name in the draft. Can you tell him that if he did that he wouldn't make a red nickel in the NBA and blah, blah, blah. So basically, he told this man what to say.
Right.
But
right.
He's figuring since I'm from the hood, I'm ignorant and I don't recognize what he just did.
Mm-hmm.
But I knew what he just done. He just told the man what to say. So he hands the phone after he tells Marty what to say, hands me the phone, and Marty was just like a tape recorder and said what he said. You know, you come out now, Jerry, blah, 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 blah. He said the same thing. I said, Marty, I thank you, appreciate your opinion, but, you know, I'm still going to make the decision to leave, and thank you very much. Give him the phone back, and he said, see, Jerry, I told you, blah, 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 blah. I said, all right, Coach, whatever. Once again, I thank you, but my decision has been made. I'm going to the NBA. So fast forward now, I leave LSU. I get in my car and drive from Baton Rouge, Louisiana to Los Angeles, California. Now, the reason I go west is because the agent that I selected lived in Pasadena, California, which is right outside LA. Mm-hmm. So I decided going back to Brooklyn, where the distractions lie, I needed to go and focus on what I was about to embark on this journey, on this career move that I decided to make. So I go to LA, and here's where, you know, my NBA transition starts is in the summer. So when I get out to LA, I'm finding where they hooping at.
Right.
And I play in some leagues out there, summer league at Inglewood High School. They had a summer league, pro-am or whatever. I play in that. And then I find out that Magic Johnson has runs at UCLA a couple of times a week during the week, afternoon, like 1:30 in the afternoon. A lot of pros gather up at UCLA, and Magic is running the runs.
Right.
So I find out that I go up to UCLA and meet Magic and tell him who I am, and, you know, let him know that I'm just trying to get some run and get ready for this NBA draft. And Magic says, you know, I heard about you and I know a little bit about you and blah, 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 which, you know, that was a confidence builder that Magic actually knew me, knew of me. So fast forward, we start playing, and the rule is at UCLA, it's really strictly for pros. But if you are a college dude and they know you and you got enough game to hang with these guys, then they let you play. But it was strictly invite only. It wasn't like you could just show up and go hoop. So once I start playing with Magic and those guys, and let me tell you how much Magic used to cheat, win. You know, he's a winner, but in pickup, bro, he used to cheat every time. Like every call, he just, you know, he'd get every call, and I used to get so mad. I remember getting so frustrated that I almost started cussing him out one day. But I thought about it, and I was like, nah, I can't go at it. I can't, even though he wrong and he cheating, I can't say nothing. You know what I'm saying? So I was the young buck, and I that was just a part of my being a young buck and having to watch these, because Magic was at the top of his game at this point. Magic was getting MVPs. He had won a couple of chips at this point. You know, he was like maybe 5 years into his career once in 1985 when I got drafted, because I think he came in what, 80 or 79.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
something like that.
Yeah.
And so yeah, he was the top dog at the time, you know.
Right.
So once I start playing with them, and then after the runs, we in the locker room, we getting ready to take showers or whatever, we in there chopping it up, and I just learned so much from that particular brother, and then all of the other pros that were up there playing. But that gave me a sneak preview of what I was going to have to deal with once I got drafted and went on to the Milwaukee Bucks. So yeah, that summer was huge for me, and playing pickup with Magic and those pros, and that whole LA experience for me, instead of going home to Brooklyn, was monumental in my process.
Yeah, because what it did is it made you believe in
They
you.
gave me the confidence, helped me
Yeah.
understand that I could play with these guys. Just
Sure.
that thought that I had at the lake, when I was like, I can play with these guys. I know that my game fits the NBA style of play more than it does the college style of play. So, once I went out to LA and start playing with those guys and holding my own and getting the respect of those guys, when I hadn't even gotten drafted yet, was big for my confidence, for sure.
Yeah,
Oh,
man. For real, you bet on yourself, man.
I did. That's what it boils down to. I just had a feeling that I knew that I could play with anybody. I didn't care if it was NBA or whoever. If you put me on the court with 9 other people, I'm gonna get my shit off. That's just how I.
That's right. That's right.
I'm sorry for laughing, but you're 100% right.
100%
And,
right.
and it's funny because that that the confidence, and once again go back to the beginning. It's everything that those guys in Brownsville set you up for. Is for you to self-evaluate, to look at yourself and say, I can do this, and that belief system, but also the toughness, not physically looking strong, but in your brain, Ice. It's like they couldn't nudge that. Your
And they
brain was
couldn't
prepped
see
and
it.
ready for them.
They couldn't see it. You look at me and you see as tall, lanky, skinny dude. Like, you know what I mean? And I was playing in the muscle bound era, with the big beefy guys. You know what I mean? So they looking at me like I'm easy work. Just push this motherfucker out the way, and we good. Just rough him up. That's what they used to. That's what we used to hear coaches say from the sidelines all the time. Is rough him up. Look at him. He light work. He lightweight. Just rough him up. But they couldn't see the heart. They couldn't see what I had been through prior to, seeing me maybe for the first time.
Oh yeah, because nobody, because they couldn't handle, and I'm just saying that kind of like as a joke, they couldn't handle the roughing up that happens in the parks of Brooklyn. The guy that jumps this high off the ground and all he's doing is beating your ass. They couldn't handle that, but you went through it, you know, and you take that on with you, everywhere you go and play, and
Yeah.
that once again, it just shows your toughness mentally.
And the IQ of that I had built since Coach Lloyd, all of the little intricacies about defense and rebounding was what got me there, because I wasn't a shooter. I never had was known for my jump shot, but I was able to score 25 points a game in high school, and become the player of the year in New York City in high school without a jump shot. And I look back on it and say that I scored from running the lanes. I scored from rebound putbacks. I scored off of steals and dunks. And that's how I got my shit off. It wasn't like I was out here waiting for somebody to pass me the ball, coming off the screen, shooting jump shots. The way I scored was from being in tip-top physical condition. That was one of the things that I didn't even know was happening while I'm at Brooklyn, USA, and we go into practice and we doing ball side middle for like a half hour straight, a continuous layup sprint drill.
Right, right.
I'm wondering why the hell we ain't doing nothing else, you know, like this starting to get boring. But that drill alone, ball side middle, helped in the development of my game, because that's what my game was: running the court, filling the lanes, and then sometimes I'm in the middle on the break, and I'm distributing.
That's
right?
right.
I'm the board and I'm going. And I learned that in Brownsville because nobody passed the ball when you play in Brownsville.
Right, right.
And so I'm like, I'm out here running up and down. Nobody ain't passing me the ball. What do I need to do to change that? Because
Keep
I'm
it.
not just going to be out here up and down, giving
Yeah,
them
you
the
just keep it.
So I catch a rebound, right? Boom, I'm gone now. I'm
Yeah,
the ball.
exactly.
And so that's how I developed my guard skills, because no one passed me the ball in Brownsville when I'm playing pickup. So I figured out how to go get it, and I'm taking it. Now, if you don't stop me, I'm going dunking that. But if you stop me now, I know how to dish the ball off, you know? And so that is really what got me to that level of
Right. And it's
NBA.
yeah. And it's funny, Ice, that, you know, I say this, and when we have shows, we say this all the time. And a lot of people don't understand this, but the efficiency of the way that you learned as well. And I always bring this up because this has to be understood by people. Our era of playing, that 75, 80, around 85 time frame, the level of efficiency that came out of the training that we got, that you became an efficient player at the things that you do well, you did it efficiently. You didn't waste anything. And I take a
No,
lot of pride in that, you know.
plays. Hey, nobody was running plays for me saying, hey, let's get Ice this shot coming off of this, da da da. Nah, it wasn't none of that. So
Right.
you have to figure out how to get your shit off
Right.
without plays being called or nothing. I'm out here getting my shit off, and we ain't nobody called no plays. I don't
Right.
need no play.
And that's
Let's just play
efficient though.
ball.
And that's
Yeah,
all talent, knowledge, and efficiency.
yeah. IQ.
But you're carrying that with you everywhere you go. And you don't
Absolutely.
think about it, but when you reflect, you do. And it's like
Yeah.
we all have a level of efficiency in our game that people don't, you know, they take it for granted, but you don't see that now. But back in the day, efficiency was the flavor of the day, you know, because if you weren't efficient, you weren't getting playing time. You had to
No,
buy in to be efficient, just like you
yeah,
had to buy into being in condition and learning the plays or the defensive schemes. You had to buy into being efficient, you know.
yeah, and you never even knew that's what a word was when we were younger. Efficient.
That's
What is that?
right.
What
Yeah,
is,
yeah, yeah.
but
True.
like you said, looking back, you know, and me shooting a lot of layups and dunks and stuff like that, and free throws and getting easy buckets was the flavor of the day for me, because you know when they taught me what peripheral vision was, and I say that, and when I use that phrase peripheral vision, I think back of how many coaches taught about that. And Lloyd and Brooklyn, USA, I learned what peripheral vision was. They had you stand underneath the basket, and they put a man in one corner and put a man in the other corner, right? And I'm right under the basket. Now, they said to me, can you see those two men can you?
Exactly. Exactly.
And I was like, and this blew my mind. I was like, no, yeah, I could see both of them. They said, well, this is how you play defense, and this is how you use your help and your peripheral vision to see the guy that you're guarding and the guy over here with the ball. Because you can't lose either one of them. Once you lose sight of your man or the ball, you're in trouble.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
That's
And let me tell you something crazy to add to that, Ice. When you go to practices with Gil Reynolds, he does the exact same thing. Put him in the corner, deep in the corner, right? Then
deep
he
in the
tells the
corner.
person and tell you that's standing in the middle, Take 2 steps forward. Can you still see both of them? Take 2
Mm-hmm.
more steps forward. Can you? So they're even kind of trying to train your eyes to have your peripheral vision extended.
Yeah.
And you don't know you're doing that and why, but once you're on the court and you're playing that help D, it becomes clear. But you have to have those little stages in training to understand, like you said, peripheral, to understand, the defensive schemes of seeing both sides and seeing weak side. But it's all prep so that you are prepared the next level, that you're always prepared for that next test, you know.
And that, and that was the reason I led my teams in steals, because I would see the ball handler over here, and my man would be over here on the weak side, and I'm looking at the eyes and the way that the ball handler is handling the ball. And if he's thinking about passing it to my guy, then I'm looking the ball handler off. So he looks at me and thinks that I can't see him, because I'm not looking at him. I'm not pointing over here at him. So I'm looking at him, but he don't know I'm looking at him. So when he throw the ball to my guy, I'm gonna let it look like that lane is open, that he could just throw that ball right in front of me. And because I'm not looking, that's what baits the ball handler to make a bad pass, because I'm not looking at him.
Yeah,
and then when
you make that decision this quickly.
when he makes that pass, I'm tipping that, and that's 2 points for me right there, because I'm gone with
Yep.
and I get 2 or 3 of those a game. You know what I mean? So that came from Brooklyn, USA. That's a skill that I developed. And reporters used to ask me after I get a game where I got maybe 3 or 4 or 5 steals or whatever, and the reporters used to ask me like where do you get that ability from to steal the ball like that? That's where it would come from. My answer would be, I learned that from Brooklyn, USA. My coaches, I had great coaches when I was a youth, and they put that in me when I was young, and it just developed over time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So your journey has spanned, at the highest level of every level that there is in our country. What do you see and reflect on of your journey, and how do you compare your journey? I mean, when you compare your journey to the journey of players after you, what do you see are the pros and cons of all of that? So it's kind of like 2 questions.
Well, I don't know what the cons are, but the pros are, you just develop. I just developed over time. I guess the cons would be that I didn't work on my jump shot enough. that I just never. Well, I got better. Let's say it took me time to develop my shot. Because it didn't happen in college. I didn't become a better shooter from high school to college, due to me not working on my shot on a personal level. And so once I got to the pros, I would hear coaches say, when I was in the game, back up off of him, let him shoot. He can't shoot. And that used to piss me off. So that prompted me to get in the gym and start shooting and working on my shot. And I was a horrible free throw shooter in high school and in pros. I was in the 50s in high school and in college. I was a 50% free throw shooter. And so when I got drafted, Don Nelson used to say to me in practice, he said, Rook, I love your game, but you get fouled a lot, which is great. I love that about your game. But when you go to the free throw line, you like a turnover. You miss both free throws, so we just end up giving the ball back to the other team. That ain't good. That ain't
right.
We need to score the ball when you get fouled.
Right.
And so that bothered me to the point where my free throw percentage went from 56, 57 my rookie year to it went up to 70 something my at the year after that, and it it started to grow ever since that. That my highest free throw percentage in the NBA was 80%. So I went from 50 to 80 within a couple of years of hearing that phrase that he can't shoot. You like a turnover for us, and all of those things prompted me to just be better and work on my weakness basically.
Yeah, yeah. And the second question, and let me rephrase the second one. Um, the reason why I'm asking you this question, because and you and I are the only ones I know that do this. Like you'll post a scene on the court where you see a guy not doing what's right, and you'll post it, on social media and question like, this is, not right. This guy shouldn't be doing this. And so that's why I want to know, what is the difference in your mind from the way players play the game now to when you played in that era?
Oh well, the game is so much different now. They call it what word do they use? The game has evolved. That's what they say. That's what the name, the word that I hear a lot.
Mm-hmm.
You old guys don't know how to deal with evolution of the game. Of course, the game has evolved, but I don't really care for the way the game is played now because it's more of a individual showcase now. As to a point, what I mean by that is there's not a lot of movement offensively nowadays. There's not a lot of movement of the ball. There's not a lot of movement of players. And so what we have today is one person dancing with the ball and the other four players just standing there watching.
Right.
And me, and the ball that I grew up playing, that's the opposite of how we were brought up to play.
That's
Right? You
correct.
never. First of all, we were raised to never stand on offense, just stand there. That was a no-no, right? You just couldn't stand and just be there. That was like the coach would ask you, "What are you doing?" Like you don't know how to play basketball. You can't stand there. You got to move. Uh, so I was at the gym yesterday. I ran a mile, and the hoop court is uh, uh, next to the treadmill. So I'm watching these guys play, and it's the same thing. It's like one guy has the ball, and everybody else is standing around watching this one guy dance with the ball, and then he shoots a horrible shot.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And that's okay. None of the guys on his team are saying anything or getting upset. When we played, somebody did that. You'd be like, yo, man, pass them up. They're going to curse.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, I ain't
Yeah.
just out watching you.
Yeah.
That's not what this is. So, it's just different now. It's frustrating for me to watch basketball being played that way, especially in the NBA, because I could put myself back, put myself in today's game and see myself being frustrated with the way with my teammate. Like I'm open here, or I cut and you missing me, and I'm cutting wide open. You still out there the ball. I'm cursing you out, bro.
Yeah.
Like, yo, ball, man.
Without a doubt. And I think that what has also occurred, and I say this all the time, that entertainment has become part of the game. And
Of course,
so people want to see a guy dribble a ball and maybe throw the ball off the guy's forehead and he gets it back and the guy slip and fall and he waits for him. And
yeah,
meanwhile, you miss and I'm not getting the rebounds. And so but it has impacts on a lot of things in the game. And when you show videos, I show videos of some certain things and we point that out, everybody agrees with us, but I guess the powers to be are allowing it. The rules committee is allowing it. And so this the Euro step is kind of like taking three steps, that the step back is taking three steps.
right.
And that the lack of efficiency in that is shooting percentages are down, and maybe that'll make it change. But the way the game looks now, it's going in a direction that we're never going to come back to. You know how
Well,
they say, because you know how they say, bell bottoms will come back. Just be
Right.
patient.
Right.
The way that we played, I don't know if it will ever come back.
Well, I pray that it does, because it's really just real basketball, and basketball is a team sport. It's not an individual sport. So to watch one individual to just do his thing, and all other four individuals out there watching him do his thing, I don't see that as really team to me. That's like
Right.
individuals need to
Right.
play more in that regard. You know what
Yeah.
I'm saying? You
Yeah.
don't
And
need
it's
that
and
other
it
four.
Yeah, and it's funny how you were saying earlier that you started playing baseball. That's what makes baseball boring, is that one guy is always responsible at any given time, and the rest of the players are standing around waiting to see what happens.
Yeah, yeah,
That's
and
what
that's
baseball is.
yeah,
Basketball is, like you said, it's a team sport. Everybody touches the ball. There's a lot of things. Do other things. When you don't have the ball in your hand, do something with it. On the court, set a pick. Run through. Do something. And
yeah.
and
Go,
guys aren't even doing that anymore.
look, go get some rebound position. So when they shoot the ball, they shoot this bad long shot, and out at the 3-point line, I don't have a chance to go get the offensive rebound. Like
Right.
where's
Right.
basketball? That bothers me more than anything. When I see the bad shot go up and everybody on the offensive team goes back,
Right.
Mm.
Right
nobody
away.
to the basketball.
Right.
Like
Mm.
not basketball to me. That
Right.
means you don't want the ball, right?
Right.
Dennis
Right.
Rodman wasn't going to go down court when the shot goes up. That man was going to the board every time, and he was eating. You know what I'm saying? He was
Right.
eating, making a living, just going to the board.
And he
He's
did
all
something. Right. And
from
he
going
did.
to the board.
Yeah, and he did something that that they throw in our faces when we have these opinions. They throw stats at us. Back in the day, statistically speaking, that person's gonna miss a shot, and you should go and get the rebound, not run in the other direction. So you create the problem of the team not scoring. Like you said, it's like a turnover. That jump shot is a turnover.
That's a turnover. Yeah, you're just giving the other team another possession.
Yeah, just like that.
Yeah.
And it's really sad, man. I see that, and the younger players are picking up on that. So with that being said, to turn the notch a little bit, and I apologize, Ice, but I'm very observant to things. I've seen you with your son, and at times, and your interaction with him, and based on what we're talking about with these players and how they're playing now, and the game has changed. What emphasis or things are advising your son, because he is playing, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. He
Yeah.
he took this.
What
He
is
had,
the advice that you're giving him now that he's playing?
well, it's hard, and it's really hard on me because I only can teach what I know. I can't teach you these 3-step backs on offense and do it. Didn't do that. That wasn't part of our game. You
Right.
know, so I can't teach you that. But what I try to focus on with my son is the art of layup making
Mm.
at high speed. Meaning I'm going to get a steal and I'm going to dribble the length of the court. And I tell him, if you're not running fast, son, when you're traveling and pushing that ball on a speed dribble, you got to think about somebody chasing you down.
Mm.
So you can't casually go on a fast break where you got to steal. You got to push that ball at top speed and lay that ball up confidently and make that shot and make it easy. Make it easy. You got to repeat it so much that it becomes easy with both hands.
Right.
So that's one thing I focus on with him, and conditioning. Uh, 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 that peripheral vision that I was taught. I want him to develop that, because defensively, like I tell him and all of the young kids that I work with, that your jump shot ain't gonna be on every day. And so you got to figure out how you're going to still be effective and help your team win when your jump shot ain't hit.
Right.
Right? What you're going to do? You going to still score, or you not going to score and cry about, oh, I can't, my shot is off. So what? So what? How many rebounds did you get? How many deflections did you get? How well did you box out? Are you talking to your teammates on defense? Are you helping? You know, all of these things, and this is what I talk to him about. And I don't even work with my son on jump shots. I don't care if he can shoot the ball. Even though we're in the shooting era, I want you to be able to manipulate a person with a hard dribble drive and attack the rim. And we're going to shoot free throws because you're going to get fouled a lot in playing that way. Right? When you get past people, they're going to foul you. That's the only way to stop you. To foul you.
And throw this in there. Learn the backboard.
Yeah, you got to learn how to use the glass and use the layups and stuff like that, left hand, right hand. So, you know, that's where I am with helping him develop, teaching him how to.
Yeah. How old is he now?
He's 13. He'll be 14 in November. So he's just starting 8th grade. And this is an important year for him because my challenge to him was, son, being my son and me working with you over all of these years, by the time you get to high school, you should be a good enough ball player to make varsity as a freshman.
Okay.
Not start, but you should be on the team as a freshman. You should be good enough to be on that team as a freshman and knocking on the door for some playing time. Or you should be good enough to actually maybe start on that high school team. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So,
but as a freshman, get that experience in. That's right.
Yeah, I mean, you should be good enough. And this is a big year for him, this 8th grade year. And then that summer before going into high school, you know, that's when you should be making a whole lot of noise and letting these high school coaches know, I want that kid right there. You know what I'm saying? I want him. I want him on my team because he know how to play.
Yeah,
he can
exactly.
Help. Yeah, that's nice.
And where are you based out of now? Are you still in Tampa, right?
Tampa, yes, sir.
Yeah, yeah. So he should be good to go, you know, without a doubt, man. You know.
Yeah, but it's hard, man, because he don't really lock into his father like other kids, like other pros kids do. And I sent him a lot of videos of, say, like a Carmelo's son or Gilbert Arenas' son or Carlos Boozer's sons who are really doing well in high school. But the reason is because they listen to their dads. You know, they took their dad for serious. My son be like, "You trash, Dad. You trash. You're killing me, son. You're killing me."
Yeah. But you know, in his heart of hearts, he knows because he's been around you and he's been around your peers. So we're not gonna let you down. We're gonna give him an earful and let him know what Dad's about.
He just like giving me a hard time. You know what I mean? And so it's a challenge for sure with him.
Right, right.
I mean, he's long, he's tall, he's built just like me. He's already 6'2". He's 13, 6'2", and growing. He's like in his growth spurt now. I didn't hit my growth spurt until I got to high school. I didn't start growing until I got to high school. So I was 5'9" when I got to Hamilton. I left Hamilton at 6'7".
Wow. Because when I saw him, the last time I think I saw him was at the St. John's thing, and he was like maybe just 5'9", 5'10".
Yeah, he's a foot taller almost now. You know, he's like really sprouted up, man. So, and I tell him, I said, son, I said your game ain't where your height is. You need to get your game up to speed. You got a lot of work to do, man.
Yeah.
You know what that means? Ship him out to Lloyd McCory.
Part of his summer next summer. Yeah, that may be part of his summer.
Yeah, and let him go down to Van Dyke for a few too, man.
Yeah. He already played in the hole once. Yeah, played pickup with some kid that was out there. We were visiting one time, and that was a good experience for him.
Yeah.
But he was young, man. He was probably about 8 or 9.
All
Right.
right.
Yeah.
Yo, man. Well, speaking of high school, though, man, I want you to talk a little bit about that great uh that great championship season at Hamilton, man. Can you tell us a little about what you were going through, what your thought process was, and the coaching and your teammates?
Yeah, well, it was a process up to my senior year. You know, when I got to Hamilton with Beetle, we came in as freshmen together, and I was super excited, you know, to be with this guy who I came up through the ranks with, and we're gonna play high school ball together, and we also gonna play for Ray Haskins, who was a Brooklyn USA guy, coached in Brooklyn, USA. So we were very excited. So as a freshman, Coach Haskins tells me, "You're not going to play with us this year. You're not going to make the team this year." He told me that he thought I was a little too skinny and that I wasn't ready.
Mm-hmm.
And so he broke my heart with that. And then he let Beetle. Not only did he let Beetle play, he started Beetle.
Mm-hmm.
Beetle and Cosell start in the backcourt my freshman year at Hamilton. So he sent me back to play with Lloyd, which wasn't a bad thing, turns out. So my freshman year, I don't play. Come back my sophomore year. Now it's Cosell, Lionel King, Nate Sims were our big three when I started to play at Hamilton. So I didn't start my sophomore year. Came off the bench, got some playing time, did okay. Now my junior year, Cosell leaves and goes to another school. Nate was a senior, he graduates. So now it's just me, Lionel King, and Beetle. Andre didn't come. Yeah, Andre came that year. Andre was probably a freshman or sophomore that year. And still with me. And
Yeah.
so
Yeah. Uh-huh.
yeah, and so my junior year goes well. I start my junior year, have a good season. We lose to Sid Green in the Brooklyn final or Westinghouse. I forget which one. But anyway, we had a good year that year in Brooklyn. And then fast forward to my senior year, Lionel graduates. Lionel King, God rest him, God rest his soul. He passed. And so it's just me, Beetle, and Andre. Pretty much our big three my senior year. And my senior year just was, we had grew up playing together, so we knew each other. Our coach, we respected, and we executed what our game plan was, which was pressure defense, and we score from our defense. And so we were beating people right from the start. So we were undefeated all year. I think we lost one game due to somebody was ineligible. So they gave us a loss for that game. But we were undefeated until we didn't lose the actual game until we met Chris Mullin in the state finals up in Glens Falls, New York.
Right.
Yeah.
Lost. And I think the reason we lost that game is because the week before was the Big City Classic that was televised, the first nationally televised high school game on television was the week before we went to Glens Falls. And we win that game, I get the MVP, but I injured my wrist, my shooting wrist. I landed funny fall, somebody took a charge on me. And when I went to land, I landed like this on my shooting wrist with all my weight. And so I just about broke my hand in that game.
Wow.
Fast forward to the state final against Chris Mullin, my hand was still messed up. And I was already a bad free throw shooter to begin with. So I think I missed every free throw I shot in that state game. I winded up scoring 21 points, and my average at that time was like 28 a game. So if I get my average and I'm not hurting that game, we would win. We would beat Chris Mullen and them,
Right.
who had a very good team. But we lost by 7, and I missed 7 free throws, and I scored 7 points under my average.
Right.
Yeah.
So I know that we could have beat them and been undefeated for the whole year.
Oh, without a doubt. Yeah, and they did have a good team, but without a doubt, that's how it should have transpired. But what was that city game before? Who were y'all playing in that city game? Was that against Reggie Williams and them?
No, so we win the city championship was one weekend, right? We play against Andrew Jackson at St. John's for the city championship. We beat them. The next weekend was the Big City Classic was in Philadelphia against Ben Franklin High School, and they were the city champs of Philadelphia. We were the city champs of New York, and so they were going to do that as an annual game.
Right.
Big City Classic, but they never had another one after that, unfortunately. But that was the originally first nationally televised high school game, and we were fortunate enough to win that game. And so the week after that was the state final. So that's how that unfolded. But yeah, we could have went undefeated, man. That was a great season, man. I'll never forget that year of my life when I was selected the Player of the Year in the PSAL and first team All City, and led that All City team as well. You know, when you get your picture in the middle in the post, that was the Player of the Year, and then the 4 guys around him were the other 4 people that filled out the All City first team, and so that was big for me.
Let me ask you, on a personal level, what was that like for you seeing your picture there in that article? What was that? What kind of feeling ran through you? You know,
in that time, I've never been an arrogant person. I've always been a laid back person that doesn't get excited very often, and I guess that's how Ice and the whole persona kind of fit me, because I never got excited. Even when I saw that, I didn't get super excited, but it padded my confidence, though, is what that did. When I saw that in the newspaper, and I had a lot of people coming up to me and showing it to me and stuff like that, and I was just super proud, that I was able to accomplish that. The same skinny kid that everybody told me, I was going to be too skinny to be this in high school. I definitely heard it when I was getting ready to go to college. You so skinny, them college boys gonna kill you, and da 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 da. And then, I heard it going to the NBA. You're too skinny, you can't shoot, and blah blah blah. So, it's always been a sort of a motivator for me to see myself progressing.
Yeah. And like Les had asked, who were the players that were with you at Ham when y'all were successful?
So we had Darnell Williams was starting with us. Beetle Washington, Andre Irvin, Carrie Scurry had joined us for his senior year. It was my senior year. We only played 1 year together because he transferred from Eastern District, I think. And a guy by the name of Boo Williams, Kenny Boo Williams, was the other guard that started with us. So that was our 5. I think all 5 of us went Division I.
Mm-hmm.
And which is unheard of. And so, we had a really, really talented team, but more so was the coaching that we had. The style of coach that we had was, and I can remember coaches not liking Coach Haskins. And it was weird because, why wouldn't you not like a guy like Ray Haskins?
Mm-hmm.
And it turns out that they used to say that they didn't like him because we used to run up the score. They didn't like him because we beat people by 40 and 50 points. And they said that he was running up the score, which really wasn't the truth. We had 22 guys on the team when I was a senior. And the reason for that was that we didn't have a JV. So he merged those guys that would have been JV players on the varsity. And so when we practiced, he would put 8 guys on offense when we playing defense.
Wow.
And so, that made us even more. You know what I mean? So when we played against 5 guys, we was playing against 8 in practice, where they moving the ball and we still was stealing the ball from them and laying it up. And so, it was just the style of play that prompted coaches to not like Coach Haskins.
Right. So there is truth in the story that there were like 16 people on the bench.
Yeah, there's
Mm-hmm.
pictures, actual pictures of our bench.
And they were trying to stop you guys from doing that. Am I correct?
Yeah, because they said it wasn't, it wasn't something. It was against some type of rule, but I guess coach worked it out to where it happened, and
Mm-hmm.
and those young guys, we had Ed Bug-Eye Davender, God rest his soul, was one of those young guys that was sitting on that bench, and he went on to be drafted and go on to the University of Kentucky and be the first freshman to ever start at Kentucky, and a great player. But he was under us. He was one of those youngsters that was out there trying to stop us and getting some lessons. Getting some
Right.
lessons on how to play.
Yeah, and it's like, and that's once again back to the regiment, of what Ray or Lloyd was trying to do is to develop not just this one team, but to have like a feeder system of players constantly learning this, our style of play, what we do, what you need to do to be successful, and that was all under that Brooklyn USA type of umbrella, and you definitely can't say enough about what they've done for a lot of athletes coming through that program.
There's no question about it, man. I often tell reporters when they ask me, about my youth, and I always give praise to Coach Roberts, Coach Haskins, Coach McCrory, Timmy Vincent, all of those guys that was associated, Buddy Keaton, Saul McMillan, all of these guys that fed us knowledge and believed in us as kids.
Yeah, without a doubt. So what's in it for, and what is Jerry Ice Reynolds doing these days now? How is
Yeah.
retirement going?
Oh man, it's really new in my life. I've been working for Mercedes Benz for going on 10 years. I thought I was 10, but I cut it short at 9, and so driving and for me to have a job driving was a God heaven sent situation for me because I love to drive. And so I did it for a living, and I loved it. And now, I'm getting used to this retired life. I got married 2 years ago, and so I'm getting used to that, to the married life as well, which is awesome.
Congratulations.
Thank
Yes, sir.
you.
Absolutely.
And my son and raising my young son, and so that's pretty much what my life is focused on today. Um, Doing a lot of traveling and just doing stuff that I haven't had the opportunity to do in my life. So I'm just trying to do things that I haven't done before and go places that I haven't been for. So
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
what it is these days.
Yeah, I tell you, the marriage thing is going to take a lot of your time.
Yeah,
Oh, absolutely.
Oddly enough, it's less what 39th, 38th
38.
anniversary,
Yeah.
38th anniversary this week or tomorrow,
oh,
next 2 days.
It's
back.
Friday. It's Friday. Yeah. Thank you.
Hey, bro.
Yeah, and
Yeah,
I'm
man.
already at 39. So
Yeah.
Yeah. I envy you guys, man. I envy you, man. And keep doing whatever you're doing because whatever you're doing is working. So just keep on doing what you're doing,
I'm
man.
not doing anything, man. I got a ball and chain on my ankle, man. Nowhere I can go. I'm stuck, man. I'm in the concrete, man.
No, with it though, it's better than to be in the dirt.
Yes,
Here we
yes,
go.
without a
Here we
doubt,
go.
man. And it's weird. It's really crazy you said that because and I'm kind of going a little bit off the cuff of the show, but I just got some news like 2 days ago, man, about my heart, man. I gotta possibly get two more heart surgeries, man.
That right.
So yeah, and it's to keep me from being in dirt, exactly. So
That's
Yep.
that's
um,
God bless the doctors.
Hmm.
Oh man, without them, man,
Yeah.
I don't know where I know where I would be.
God bless
Hmm.
the
Yeah,
doctors. Yeah, that
yeah,
serious.
without a doubt, man. But we've all been through like multiple seasons of living and living this in this world of basketball and through the same walks in Brooklyn and what we've accomplished and what you have accomplished, which is historic and it's by itself. But that it turns out that the person of Jerry Ice Reynolds is a role model for all to see how you conduct yourself as a professional athlete.
Yes.
And I just want to let you know, man, that like I from the moon and back, man, I'm extremely proud of what you've accomplished and what you've done and how you've carried yourself. And
I appreciate.
yeah, and that has to be said because of I'm not going to mention why, but what we talked about earlier. So yeah, it's really great to have you on the show, Ice, and I once again, like I said, man, I'm very proud of your accomplishments and your growth that we've seen. You got
I,
anything, Les?
I appreciate you guys, man, and y'all were my OGs coming up, man. Y'all a little few years older than me, but I definitely recognized you guys when I was young and looking up to the upperclassmen and the guys that were putting in the work and whose names were in the newspapers and stuff like that. I used to pay attention to all of that stuff.
Hmm.
So I thank you guys for being my OGs. The guys that's above
Yes.
me that I wanted to get my name in the newspaper. Because I saw you guys' name in the newspaper.
Yeah, well,
And,
so it turns out, man, it wasn't hard for you at all.
that meant a lot to me. That meant a lot to me, for real.
Yeah, what you got,
That's
Les?
Yeah, man. I just wanted to say thank you, brother, for coming on the show. It's been a pleasure, man. We got to know a little more about Jerry Reynolds. You know, we all know about Ice Reynolds.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
But it was nice to hear about Jerry Reynolds, man. So
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yeah, man. I appreciate it, man. And when you guys reached out to me about coming on, because I had seen some episodes and stuff before. I think you guys do a wonderful job with your show and everything. And when you reached out to me about it, it was a no-brainer. Let's do it.
Yeah, I appreciate that, man. And
absolutely.
the goal has always been to just share the Brooklyn experience with the public, because we think there's a very, very special bond that we all have with each other, and which is true. And plus, the people we interview, they're valued individuals. And like, constantly being said, our stories need to be told and without turning your back on your community and leaving out people. It's like there's so many people to interview and talk to. I would never know if we ever get to it, but we know who Jerry Ice Reynolds was, and we really needed you on the show to let everybody hear your story. And I want to thank you for coming on the show.
No problem, man. Anytime, man. You reach out. If I'm not busy, you got my service.
There you go.
All
So
right.
everybody, once again, it's another end of another great show with Jerry Ice Reynolds. Me and Les will let you know. We'll see you at the next show. Take care.
All right. All right.
Peace.
All right, brother.